life, I've been part of what's called the Third Order of the Society of St Francis. We're an organisation originally set up by St Francis of Assisi in about the year 1220, so we're coming up to around our 800th anniversary. We've been around a while in various shapes and forms. Historically, of course, part of the Roman Catholic Church, but then in more recent times in other church traditions as well, including my own Church of England community. And Francis had a deep love of the creation, because he saw everything in creation as the Creator's handiwork. Everything from the simplest life form, including inanimate objects, through to human beings themselves, he saw us all as part of God's creative handiwork, and therefore all having that intrinsic worth. And so
all God's creatures.
Yeah, we're all God's creatures, and because of that, human beings have a particular stewardship responsibility that's given to us by God to care not just for our own well-being, but for the well-being of the whole of that creation. And that, for Franciscans, is a particularly strong emphasis. We seek to tread lightly on this earth, because this is the earth that the Lord has created, and it's beautiful, and all of its different elements are precious and glorious and have worth intrinsic in them. So the way we protect and care for and steward and sustain the environment around us is an important part of our Franciscan theology. That's not distinct in some sense from the more general Christian theology. Perhaps it's more enhanced. The Franciscans say, we're very clear, we don't follow St Francis, we follow Jesus after the example of St Francis. So we take things from the particular way he followed Jesus that were priorities for him, and we make them priorities in our own lives and our own ministry.
So do you discern a difference between the way a Franciscan bishop and a non-Franciscan bishop would be trying to guide discussions or influence discussions about both climate but also the broader biodiversity crisis that we're facing?
Yeah, I think it is. I think again, it's not a difference of being in opposition. It's probably just that I have a particular kind of priority around the work that St Francis calls us to do, and to reverence that creation as God's own handiwork in all of its diversity and its variety and complexity, and not just the bits that are convenient to us or the bits that we happen to like or find useful. And I think that's an important aspect of our Franciscan spirituality. But as Franciscans, we also accept that we live in a fallen world, that we live in a world where lots of things go wrong, that are imperfect. We're not so starry-eyed about the context in which we're operating.
And here's Hannah's final question, and I think it's a doozy. Could you talk about what fills you with wonder and joy when you look at the world around you?
Wow, yes. Well, there's so much to wonder at and be joyful at, and it is just the sheer richness of the colours and the smells and the touch and the sounds that God's creation makes. One of the things I've done a number of times over the years is give retreats based on how we pray using the whole of our senses, both the five senses that we commonly term as such, but also senses such as posture and balance and hunger and thirst, all the different ways in which we engage with the environment, the world around us, and to see how those can be directed towards the praise and worship of God. And so to look at the sights and sounds of the created order that's here is actually very important to me, and to see that Francis famously saw the face of Christ in a leper, to see God's face in unlikely and unexpected places, and to rejoice in that. And so for me, I can see God in a beautiful building from the top of a mountain, in the intricacy of the pattern of a honeycomb, or a grain of pollen magnified hugely. But to see all this and to just wonder at the richness of it all, the immensity of it all, both from the tiniest scale through to the behaviour of whole galaxies and and clusters of galaxies in the universe as a whole. It's an incredible thing to wonder at and to give joy, and to know, for me as a Christian, that within that God who is in all and knows all and sees all actually knows me and values me and loves me with a deep and abiding and unswerving love. And that's at the heart of it for me.
The traditional final question, anything else you'd like to say, anything that you're afraid I'd ask or you hoped I'd ask? Imagine that I've asked it. What's your answer?
I think for a moment. No, I think we covered most of the things I'd want to talk about. I mean, this has moved significantly centre stage even since we last spoke, and I think that's a positive thing. But at the same time, it's moved centre stage. It's clear that the whole crisis or emergency, whatever we call it, has become more obvious and more demanding. Things we thought might be good enough 5 years ago now look like they're only scraping at the edges of what we need to do. But I do see energy for making the kinds of changes that need to be made, and wonderful people like Hannah and others are bringing a fresh energy and a fresh enthusiasm into this whole matter.
Thank you very much. I'll not wait 5 years before I ask again, because things will move fast now.
They will. Thank God.
Thank you so much.